Welcome back to Thanks for Coming Back. I'm your host, Dr. Latasha Nelson, and today we're diving into a topic that could leave you a little queasy: toxic leadership and how to change it. Across the world, more and more reports of toxic cultures are popping up. According to a 2023 survey referenced in Fast Company's August 2024 article on the cost of toxic bosses, 87% of professionals report having had at least one toxic boss. Today, we're exploring how leadership styles can impact team health while costing companies big time. More importantly, we'll talk about how aspiring leaders, such as yourselves, can become the positive influences their workplaces need to overcome the toxicity. Let's start by looking at the impact of toxic leadership on team health, starting with the psychological effects. Studies have linked toxic leadership to psychological effects like increased stress, anxiety, and even depression among team members. Now, in contrast, influential or relational leaders tend to prioritize their team's mental well being, showing connections to higher job satisfaction, increased employee engagement, and improved overall well being. This research suggests that such positive leadership styles can lead to reduced stress levels, enhanced team cohesion, and greater psychological safety in the workplace. Now, physically, the stress from toxic leadership doesn't just stay in our minds. It can lead to physical symptoms like sleep disturbances and weakened immune systems. Conversely, positive leaders promote work life balance and wellness, resulting in reduced absenteeism, lower healthcare costs, and overall improvements in employee health. Professionally, once energetic employees become reserved and stop showing initiative under toxic leadership, while research supports higher levels of creativity and innovation amongst employees who thrive alongside their influential leaders, resulting in increased problem solving capabilities and greater adaptability. Which leads us to our final point: the cost of toxic leadership. While toxic leadership has been estimated to cost U.S. companies billions annually due to decreased productivity and high turnover, the positive impact of effective leadership is equally significant. Research from Gallup suggests that companies with highly engaged workforces, often a result of positive leadership, outperform their peers by 147% in earnings per share. Additionally, studies have shown that organizations with strong leadership development programs and positive cultures tend to see higher customer satisfaction, increased profitability, and better talent retention. Now that we've established the negative effects of toxic leadership, as well as the equally significant impact of positive leadership, let's explore how you can influence the space you're in right from where you are. Today, we're going to use John Maxwell's principles on becoming a person of influence to help us with this. First, it's important to remember that integrity builds trust. Integrity is being consistent in what you say and do, regardless of whether anyone's around to see you or not. Leaders who show high integrity build greater trust with others. And believe it or not, research shows that perceived leader integrity is positively linked to greater employee job satisfaction and commitment. Unlike toxic leaders who often deflect blame, influential leaders take responsibility for their actions and their decisions. They align their words with their actions and, by extension, create a culture of accountability and transparency. Side note: a survey by the Center for Creative Leadership revealed that integrity is consistently rated as one of the top attributes of admired leaders, just in case you needed a little more convincing to take action. Now let's talk about nurturing others. Unlike toxic leaders who stifle growth, influential leaders focus on developing their team members. Kind of like planting a garden. You don't just throw the seeds and hope for the best. You nurture, water, and care for each plant. In the workplace, this means investing time in your team's growth, providing opportunities for learning, and celebrating their successes. A study by Deloitte found that organizations with strong learning cultures are 52% more productive and 17% more profitable than their peers. So, by nurturing your team, you're not just creating a positive, growth oriented culture, you're also boosting your bottom line. Now, when it comes to adding value to others, here's a hard truth: toxic leaders often take credit for others' work. But guess what? That approach is as short sighted as it is selfish. Influential leaders, on the other hand, consistently look for ways to contribute to their team's success and well being. It's like the old saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. When you add value to your team, everyone benefits. One study found that leaders who were rated as most effective at developing others were also rated in the top 10% of leaders overall. So, by focusing on adding value to others, you're not just helping them, you're elevating your own leadership game too. Now, let's talk about communication. While toxic leaders may use fear and intimidation, influential leaders practice active listening and clear, empathetic communication. It's about truly hearing and understanding. A study by Salesforce found that employees who feel their voices heard are 4.6 times more likely to feel empowered to perform their best work. So dish the fear tactics and embrace open, honest dialogue. Your team and your results will thank you for it. Now, here's a leadership secret. The more you empower others, the more powerful you become. Toxic leaders micromanage, but influential leaders delegate and trust their team. It's like giving someone the keys to the car. Sure, it's a risk, but it's also how they learn to drive. A study by Gartner found that employees of empowering leaders are 67% more engaged in their work. So, by trusting your team and giving them ownership, you're not just making their lives better, you're supercharging your entire organization. Now, with these principles in mind, let's discuss some practical strategies for you to bring this to life. First up, self-awareness. It's like looking in a mirror. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but always necessary. Start by reflecting on your leadership style. Are you inadvertently displaying any toxic behaviors? Maybe you're micromanaging without realizing it. Or perhaps you're not giving enough feedback. Self-awareness is the first step towards positive change. Try keeping a leadership journal or asking a trusted colleague for honest feedback. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Now let's talk about feedback. Unlike toxic leaders who avoid criticism like the plague, aspiring leaders should regularly ask for constructive feedback from their team. It might feel a little scary at first, but it shows humility and a commitment to growth. A study by Leadership IQ found that people who actively seek constructive feedback are 33% more likely to receive high performance ratings. So don't just wait for your annual review. Create regular opportunities for your team to give you honest feedback. Let's talk about leading by example. You've heard the saying, actions speak louder than words, right? Well, in leadership, it's absolutely true. If you want a team that prioritizes well being and open communication, you need to model that behavior yourself. Take breaks, respect work life boundaries, and communicate transparently. A study by the Center for Creative Leadership found that role modeling was one of the top ways leaders influence their teams. So, be the leader you'd want to follow. And now let's talk about psychological safety. It's a fancy term for a simple concept: creating an environment where team members feel safe to express ideas and concerns without fear of retribution. Google's Project Aristotle found that psychological safety was the most important factor in high performing teams. So, how do you create it? Encourage diverse opinions, admit your own mistakes, and respond positively to questions and challenges. It's not about being soft, it's about creating a space where innovation and employee well being can flourish. And last but not least, commit to continuous learning for yourself and your team. In today's fast paced world, if you're not learning, you're falling behind. A report by PwC found that 79% of CEOs worldwide are concerned that a lack of essential skills in their workforce is threatening the future growth of their organization. So invest in your own growth and encourage it in others. Attend workshops, read widely, and share what you learn. By creating a culture of continuous improvement, you're future-proofing your team and your organization. So now that we've covered strategies for becoming an influential leader, let's talk about practical steps for transformation. First, recognize the warning signs. Be alert to any signs of toxic leadership in yourself or others, like frequent conflicts or decreased morale. Next, implement regular check-ins. That can make a huge difference. Schedule one-on-one meetings with team members to understand their challenges and aspirations. This shows you value their input and their well-being. Promote work life balance. Encourage boundaries between work and personal life. This can significantly reduce stress and improve overall team well being. Acknowledge and celebrate both individual and team achievements. This boosts morale and reinforces positive behaviors. Finally, address conflicts constructively. When conflicts arise, address them promptly and fairly. This maintains a healthy work environment and builds trust among your team members. Now, remember, the journey from toxic leadership to becoming a person of influence is ongoing. It requires a consistent effort and self reflection. By focusing on these principles and strategies, you can create a healthier work environment where both you and your team can thrive. For those eager to dive deeper into these concepts, I'm excited to announce our complimentary trainings based on John Maxwell's Becoming a Person of Influence. These sessions will provide practical tools to further develop your positive leadership skills. If you're interested, email me at info@learningleaderlab.com for more details. And with that, continue to learn and continue to lead right from where you are.